7 isometric poses that Shaolin monks use to be stronger than bodybuilders without lifting a single weight. Have you ever noticed that the modern fitness industry wants to convince you that real strength only comes from expensive supplements, sophisticated machines, and bodies inflated by hormones that border on the grotesque? But what if the fastest path to building real strength were exactly the opposite of all that? Standing perfectly still, holding a position for a few seconds? Well, I confess that when you are in these positions, those seconds tend not to pass quite so quickly. But believe me, the strength you build is frightening. Shaolin monks have used specific isometric postures for centuries to develop the kind of strength that seems impossible. Breaking wooden boards, sustaining positions for minutes that most people cannot hold for seconds, and building bodies that remain unbreakable even in old age. That is why today you will see the 7 isometric postures that Shaolin monks master to build strength without needing a single piece of equipment. No hormones, no unattainable standards. Before we begin, please tell us in the comments your name and the city from which you are watching our content. We would love to know. Exercise number 1, Isometric L-sit. There is a legend among practitioners of Shaolin Kung Fu that says a monk capable of sustaining the L-sit for a full minute was ready to face any physical challenge. It sounds exaggerated until you try it for the first time. Realize that 10 seconds already feel like an eternity, and understand why this posture carries so much respect within that tradition. The isometric L-sit is performed as follows. Seated on the floor with the legs completely extended in front, the practitioner places the palms of the hands beside the hips and pushes against the floor with the goal of lifting the glutes, keeping the legs parallel to the ground in the shape of the letter L that gives the exercise its name. What makes this exercise particularly valuable is that even if the full elevation is not possible at the beginning, the simple tension generated by the attempt already intensely recruits the core, the hip flexors, the triceps, and the scapular muscles. In the Shaolin tradition, postures that required bearing one's own weight with the arms were seen as one of the greatest indicators of real strength and maturity in training. From a physiological standpoint, the muscles are forced to recruit motor units that normally only engage during maximum efforts. This means you are developing strength in the muscle fibers with the greatest potential, the ones that most people cannot even access in conventional workouts. To perform it correctly, position the hands just beside the hips, with the fingers pointing forward. Press with maximum force against the floor, as if you wanted to push through it. Keep the gaze forward, the neck neutral, and activate the core before pressing. The effort must be total, not partial. The 2 most common errors in this exercise are: the first is letting the shoulders rise toward the ears, which wastes force and overloads the neck. The second is trying to lift the hips without first activating the core, which transfers all the load to the wrists and forearms, removing the main benefit of the movement. Regarding contraindications, people with injuries to the wrists, elbows, or shoulders should be cautious and, ideally, consult a professional before including this exercise in their routine. Begin by sustaining the tension for 10 to 15 seconds, performing 3 sets. Over time, advance to 30 to 45 seconds per set. Exercise number 2, Isometric Push-Up Hold. The conventional push-up is already a classic and efficient exercise, but the isometric version of it is a completely different experience, and those who try it for the first time rarely go back to the dynamic movement without having a renewed respect for static muscular tension. Unlike the traditional push-up, here the practitioner descends to the midpoint of the movement and simply holds the position without going up or down. This recruits high-threshold motor units, the same muscle fibers normally activated only under heavy loads or explosive movements. What many people do not know is that maintaining this continuous tension is something rarely experienced in everyday life. Your nervous system is not accustomed to maintaining this kind of maximum recruitment for prolonged periods, and that is precisely why the stimulus is so effective. The muscles involved are the chest, shoulders, triceps, and core, all simultaneously. But there is an additional benefit that goes beyond the muscles. Tendons and ligaments are also strengthened during isometric exercises, and these tissues deteriorate with advancing age far more quickly than muscle. Strengthening tendons is one of the greatest gifts you can give your body after the age of 40. To perform correctly, lower from the standard push-up position until the elbows are at approximately 90 degrees, with the chest close to but not touching the floor. At that point, stop completely. keep the body in a straight line from head to heels. Breathe in a controlled manner and hold the position. The most common errors are the incorrect position of the head, which tends to drop between the shoulders or rise excessively, and the lack of core activation, which causes the hips to sag and places excessive pressure on the lower back. A good indicator that you are doing it correctly is feeling the tension distributed equally between the chest, shoulders, and triceps, without one region dominating the others. People with shoulder injuries or rotator cuff issues should avoid this exercise or perform it under specialized supervision. Begin with 3 sets of 15 to 20 seconds and progress to 40 to 60 seconds over time. Exercise number 3, Superman. Shaolin monks called the set of muscles that make up the body's posterior chain the bamboo spine. Bamboo is the plant that most resists storms precisely because it combines flexibility with structural rigidity. Training the posterior chain correctly is building exactly that in your own body. The Superman is performed lying face down with the arms extended above the head. The practitioner simultaneously lifts the arms, chest, and legs off the ground, keeping the gaze directed downward toward the floor, and holds the position. This isometric contraction strengthens the entire posterior chain, the spinal erectors, the glutes, the hamstrings, the rhomboids, and the middle and lower trapezius. It is an impressively efficient exercise for a region that most people completely neglect, and the price of that neglect is high. The typical hunched posture of aging, with the shoulders fallen forward and the head projected beyond the body, is largely the result of the progressive weakening of the posterior chain. Regular practitioners of this exercise report a noticeable improvement in posture within a few weeks, something that goes far beyond aesthetics and has a direct impact on breathing, digestion, and even sleep quality. To perform correctly, lie face down, extend the arms in front of the head, and simultaneously lift the arms, chest, and legs to a comfortable height. The gaze should go downward, not forward. Activate the glutes, the spinal erectors, and the hamstrings at the same time. Maintain controlled breathing and sustain the position. The most common error is hyperextending the neck by looking upward instead of keeping the gaze downward. This error seems harmless, but compresses the cervical vertebrae and can generate accumulated pain with regular training. The second error is lifting the limbs excessively, trying to go higher than mobility allows, which compresses the lumbar vertebrae and removes the efficiency of the movement. People with a history of lumbar disc herniation or acute cervical problems should consult a professional before performing this exercise. Begin with 3 sets of 20 to 30 seconds and gradually advance to 45 to 60 seconds. Before we continue, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Having constant access to science-based information is what will make you progress with health over the long term in the world of exercise. Exercise number 4, handstand hold. There are postures that transcend simple physical training and enter the territory of mental challenge. The handstand is one of them. Considered one of the most advanced postures in the Shaolin repertoire, it requires the practitioner to sustain their own weight, inverted on the palms of the hands, with the body completely aligned from head to feet. In the tradition of the monks, inverting the body was seen as a way to renew circulation and challenge the mind to operate under unusual conditions. From a muscular standpoint, the handstand hold intensely strengthens the shoulders, triceps, and trapezius, as well as all the stabilizing musculature of the scapula. The demand for maximum core activation to maintain balance makes this exercise complete in the development of central stability, something no machine can replicate. You will know you are doing it correctly when you feel the shoulders working in a stable manner without excessive trembling, and when you notice that the rigidity comes from the core and not from tension in the arms. For beginners, it is recommended to start supported against a wall. Position the hands approximately 12 inches from the wall. Kick the legs up until the feet touch the wall and hold the position. Progress the hold time from 10 to 20 seconds, then from 20 to 40 seconds, and so on, before attempting the free version. Gradual progression is not optional. It is what separates the development of the handstand from injury due to shoulder overload. The most common errors are letting the head fall too far back, breaking the body's alignment, and excessively arching the lower back to compensate for lack of core strength. Both errors compromise both the safety and the efficiency of the exercise. Important contraindications. People with uncontrolled high blood pressure, eye problems such as glaucoma, or injuries to the wrists and shoulders should avoid this exercise. The inverted position significantly increases intracranial and ocular pressure. Always consult a doctor if in doubt. Exercise number 5, bow stance, also called the archer's stance. This is one of the oldest postures in the Shaolin conditioning repertoire, and there is a reason it has survived through the centuries without being replaced by anything more modern. It simply works. The execution takes place in a long lunge. The front leg has the knee bent, while the back leg remains completely extended. The hips are slowly lowered until a deep stretch is felt in the rear hip. The position is then held without movement. It works the hip flexors, quadriceps, and glutes in an integrated manner, in addition to improving balance by activating small stabilizing muscles around the ankles and knees that most conventional exercises ignore. The secret lies in understanding what this posture revitalizes. The hip flexors, chronically shortened by excessive time spent sitting. A shortened hip flexor is not merely a matter of limited mobility. It alters the position of the pelvis, increases lumbar lordosis, generates back pain, and reduces the capacity to generate force in the lower limbs. Releasing and strengthening the hip flexors at the same time is one of the most intelligent investments you can make in your body. To perform correctly, take a wide step forward and bend the front knee until the thigh is approximately parallel to the ground. The back leg remains extended with the heel raised. The torso remains upright. Hold the position statically. The most frequent error is letting the front knee go beyond the line of the toes, which unnecessarily overloads the knee joint. Keep the knee aligned directly above the ankle. Another common error is letting the torso lean forward, losing the balance and stabilization work that is a fundamental part of the exercise. People with acute knee or hip injuries should be cautious. Perform 3 sets of 20 to 30 seconds per side and advance to 45 to 60 seconds with the development of strength and mobility. Exercise number 6, horse stance. If you could choose only one posture to represent everything that Shaolin training represents, this would be it. Considered the foundation of all true strength within the Shaolin system, the horse stance is simultaneously the simplest to understand and one of the most difficult to sustain. That combination is what makes it so effective. The execution requires the practitioner to stand with the feet wider than shoulder width apart, knees bent with the thighs parallel to the ground, back completely straight, and arms positioned in front of or beside the body, and then simply hold. The quadriceps, glutes, and adductors work simultaneously in a deep isometric contraction that modern exercises like the leg press can hardly replicate because no machine can reproduce the integrated stabilization work that occurs in this position. What makes this exercise especially valuable for healthy aging is its direct effect on the loss of strength in the legs and lower back, one of the leading causes of falls and loss of independence in older people. Maintaining functional strength in the legs is not about aesthetics. It is about longevity with quality of life. The most common error is projecting the knees beyond the line of the feet, overloading the joints. The knees should point in the direction of the toes without advancing beyond them. The second error is letting the back curve forward, which removes the core and lower back activation from the movement. Keep the chest open and the spine neutral throughout the hold. Contraindications. People with patellar chondropathy, severe knee arthritis, or acute lumbar problems should consult a professional before practicing. Begin with 3 sets of 20 to 30 seconds and progress to 60 to 90 seconds over time. Exercise number 7, standing back extension. The last exercise on this list may be the most underrated of all, and also the one whose necessity is most urgent for the majority of people in the modern world. Hours in front of screens, neck projected forward, shoulders drooping. This postural pattern compresses the cervical nerves, reduces respiratory capacity, and generates progressive chronic pain. The execution is simple. Standing with the feet at shoulder width apart, the practitioner interlaces the hands behind the head and pushes the head against the hands while the hands resist the movement, creating an isometric tension in the neck muscles and the upper back. Simultaneously, the chest is opened and the shoulders are pulled back, and downward. This combination works the posterior chain of the upper body in a way that very few other exercises achieve. To perform correctly, ensure that the pressure between the hands and the head is balanced and controlled. The goal is to create muscular tension, not joint pressure. Keep the breath flowing naturally during the hold. The main errors to avoid are holding the breath during the effort, which unnecessarily elevates blood pressure, and pushing the head only backward without creating genuinely isometric tension between the hands and the back of the neck. People with cervical disc herniation or instability in the neck region should avoid this exercise or perform it only with specialized guidance. For others, perform 3 sets of 20 to 30 seconds and gradually advance to 45 to 60 seconds. Now that you know the 7 fundamental postures, there is a method that the Shaolin also mastered that takes the isometric concept to a completely different level. Bonus exercise: overcoming isometrics. Imagine that you could push a mountain with all your strength. Obviously, the mountain is not going to move, but your muscles do not know that. This is the principle behind what is called overcoming isometrics, a method that Shaolin monks were already practicing centuries before any sports science laboratory existed, when they pulled iron chains attached to posts and pressed against stone walls with maximum intention, seeking not to move the object, but to generate absolute force against it. The method consists of pushing or pulling a completely immovable object, such as a door frame, a bar fixed in a rack, or a rope tied to a fixed point, with the maximum force you can produce. Since the object does not yield, the muscles are forced to fire at close to 100% of capacity, something that rarely happens even in the most intense weight training sessions. The result is significant gains in maximum strength in a relatively short time. The great advantage over training with external loads is that you can apply maximum force at any angle you choose, without the problem of the so-called sticking point, that specific position within a movement where the available force is lowest. In overcoming isometrics, you simply choose the angle where you want to get stronger and apply maximum force precisely there. To apply the method efficiently, the recommendation is to work 3 to 4 different angles per session, sustaining maximum effort for 6 to 10 seconds at each angle, with 2 to 3 sessions per week. The main errors to avoid are holding the breath during maximum effort, which can dangerously elevate blood pressure, and not applying truly maximum force, training with only 60 or 70% of capacity, and losing the main benefit of the method. The effort needs to be genuinely maximum for the neurological stimulus to occur. People with uncontrolled high blood pressure, a history of cardiovascular problems, or aneurysms should consult a doctor before using this method, as generating maximum isometric force temporarily elevates blood pressure significantly. For others, overcoming isometrics is possibly one of the most efficient and least utilized methods in contemporary training, and Shaolin monks knew this far longer than modern science took to confirm. If you enjoyed this and want to also discover the stretches used by the Japanese for bodies that seem to never age even after 90 years old, we have a video appearing right now on the screen showing each one of them in detail. Make sure to check it out. Thank you for watching until the end, and may God bless you, my friend.